recorded for your information. Okay, there it goes. Okay. So right now I'm just sharing my slide. Please do confirm on that. Are you able to view my slide right now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So firstly, let me welcome everyone, and also I wanted to thank you for your time specifically because time is very precious. So thank you so much for giving your time towards my webinar today. My name is Sabari Balaji, and I work for an IT organization. And I'm basically on an architect level. The workaround is all about development of applications and leading a team. So this is what I do in my profile. So I have come across a lot of webinars, and I've even addressed many uh, college guest lectures. During this pandemic period, I guess I was unable to reach two different colleges, but I thought I will come up with my own webinar sessions to the college students to encourage them to be prepared for the career towards IT. So I've launched a new venture called Skilled. You can see the logo on the top right corner, and the Skilled, the venture name is Skilled. So what it represents is we need to be highly skilled, and we need to ensure that we are competent in the market, right? So skilling is something very essential, and the right skilling is something very essential, right? And the skilling should be towards your passion. So everything is mixed up here. So this venture is both of commercial and non-commercial. I do a commercial training during my leisure time. So that's why I organize things on Saturdays and Sundays because you all knew IT workload is high. So Monday through Friday, I'll be completely engaged. Even on Saturdays, I do a lot of I'm a part of a lot of interview panels. So it's little tightened. The schedules are a little tightened, but still, I just wanted to come forward and reach to different people and impart my knowledge, what I acquired so far. So every day, I'm getting a new learning, and I'm trying to exchange that knowledge with others. Okay. So this is what is all about me. Shortly, probably we can have a lot of conversations offline. We might be in connect. So I have my Instagram, handle, and you can join me there. Probably I do have given my contact number on the mail, which I've sent, so you can reach me out on my WhatsApp if in case you wanted to have some career talk. Okay, so that's what I am, and you can see the photo over there, and also I'm there on the camera live. So hope I'm visible for you people. And so basically, today the webinar is all about the IT career guidance talk. Probably this kind of a term, the quote which you would have already come across many times in your college lectures, right? It's not something new. These are buzzwords in the market, and you are frequently coming to hear about these terms. So how do you go forward in preparing yourself in the career of IT? So that's what the scope usually when the guest lecturing happens. So here again, I've taken the same theme because it's more usual uh, kind of a title, right? So I've just opted for it, but I wanted to make it a little different. So I want to take you to the tour of how a developer's life would be in a one day. Okay, in a one day, what a developer does actually. I would like to simulate that as well. Probably I'll try to brief you about what basically a developer does in his one day of his life in the complete end to end workflow. So okay, so that's what the theme is all about. So I just wanted to share a few slides probably before we get into a lot of other practical understandings. Okay. Suppose if in case you have any queries, I'll take the query after 30 minutes. So we have 30 minutes time frame, right? I'm sorry, 1 hour, 30 minutes. So probably I'll try to take up some queries every 30 minutes, probably for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back to the session again. Okay, and so basically speaking, like what college students like you people, okay, I guess most of you are in college, and probably few people would have completed your college, and probably few people would have already joined your career in some organizations recently. Whatever the profiles are, probably this could really help you a lot in order to shape up your career. Okay, so what is that we need to do basically, is what we need to understand here. So uh, I've just prepared some slides. I hope you can see that here. So we call it as a skilled refresher. Usually use this term called skilled fresher. Probably the people who are in the second year or first year or third year, or probably in the final year, fourth year. Here have both the crowds of BSc graduates, BCA graduates, BE computer science, BIT. So I guess it's a mixed up of crowd, whatever the number of years it might be, but the standards are same. Okay, so you have to be a skilled fresher. Okay, so you can see that I have highlighted with three important terminology. Probably you can just have a look at it. The first one talks about the acquire. You need to acquire the skill which you are right now doing from your college, the regular institution, right? You acquire the knowledge from your regular career progress. But apart from that, you might be engaged with some external institutions, like online institutions or probably physical institutions. You might be going there and doing some additional courses. Yes, of course, that acquisition of knowledge is what we do. That's absolutely is essential. But is that enough for being called as a skilled fresher? No, not exactly. When I joined the IT company, it was not that easy. Okay, so I'll just give you the actual reality. Okay, I don't want to make you people uh, to get panicked. Okay, don't get panicked. That's the reality. Okay, everyone during your fresher period, we have to undergo a lot of complex environment. Okay, probably for a few people it might be pretty easy, or you might get accustomed to it, or for few people it might be really tough. Okay, but those are the tough days which we have to face, and we have to take it forward, because those toughness will give you a lot of experience. Okay, so when you join the IT company, don't just have a thought process, okay, I've joined an IT company, so my career will be booming like anything. Not like that. Okay, that's not how the IT career will be. It is slightly different. Okay, you can grow only when you have dedication and passion towards technology. I'm again reiterating this. You can grow in the ladder only when you have a constant, dedicated progress, and also you should have more passion towards the technology. Otherwise, existence in an IT company is not that easy. Okay, because it's of ups and downs will be there. So what I wanted to highlight here is you acquire the knowledge as much as possible from your college, and also get I mean get I mean connected with different external sources of knowledge acquisition, probably like some IT institutes you can join, or you can just enroll with some online courses, or what you do, whatever you want it. Okay, but keep upskilling. That's something very important. The second essential thing that I wanted to highlight here is do a POC. Okay, POC is nothing but prior to the POC, you have to do a lot of practice. You have to engage yourself with a lot of practice. The practice makes the man perfect. I always follow that mantra in my life as well. I keep practicing every day. So even on Saturdays, Sundays, even I'm family committed person. So I do have a kid in my house, but still, I keep enhancing my skills every weekend, or even every day. I spend time. Okay, so, but for you people, you have a lot of space of time, right? And during this pandemic period, you can just pick up many new skills, and you can choose a lot of skills, and then you can become more mastery onto it. So practice, keep practicing. Create a proof of concept. POC means proof of concept. This term is very much frequently used in IT organization. When I'm picking up a project from the client, okay, the client will immediately say, "Hey, can you just come up with one small POC for the application that we are going to develop forward. So we used to do that. Proof of concept, what it means is we are showcasing that we understood the concept, and here is the practicality of that particular concept, right? So it could be some applications that you develop, or for example, if you're a scientist and you wanted to do a proof of concept for your inventions, then probably you just showcase some inventions of yours, a part of that invention, not the whole inventions I'm talking about. Okay, in an application development, a piece of module could be developed, and that could be showcased as a proof of concept, right? So what I wanted to tell you people is, it's not that just doing a final year project. I knew, you knew, the whole world knew how we do the final year project, right? I don't believe on the final year project. Don't take it in the negative sense. What I mean there is, because people won't put their effort in doing the final year project, literally speaking. Okay, so you outsource it, right? You hand over your project to someone else, and probably they will tutor you, they will teach you, and then they will explain you about the project, and then you present it in your final year project submission date. I'm not saying everyone, okay, probably few percentage of the people does it, and I've experienced that as well. So what I would like to suggest here is, please don't do that. You should do your own proof of concept. Okay, you have hundreds of titles on the IEEE project portal, right? So just go there and pick your best of the best project that you wanted to do, and do it by yourself. So you have to engage on that, right? So that's the theme here. So do it by yourself. Do it by yourself. POC, proof of concept. So in your resume, okay, when you're looking out for an opportunity outside an organization, in your resume, you have to showcase. I'll also come up with a lot of other webinar sessions, probably to give some interview skillings, how to prepare a resume, an interesting resume. Okay, so probably we'll do that in the upcoming days, or in the near future. The next important thing is accredit. Okay, so the accredit means, what it means is, you have to get certified. Okay, so before you step into a IT organization, you should not go as a fresher. Please ensure that you're not going to step into an IT organization as a fresher. You're going to enter as a skilled fresher. Please do keep that in mind. I emphasize this again and again. Okay, the reason why I'm saying is, today the IT organization's expectations are pretty high. Okay, so they want more of profound knowledge candidates or associates who want to work for their organization. So you have to compete with thousands and thousands of people. Probably here it's all about the classroom of filled with 60 people, you're going to compete. But once you step out of your college environment, you're going to compete with thousands and thousands of people. So you have to showcase your skills in such a fashion that you have the right skills, you possess the right skills in order to deliver what they wanted. So what I mean there is, how do you showcase that? You have acquired the knowledge, you have done a proof of concept, but how you're going to showcase that, how you're going to put forth them that saying that, hey, I'm a skilled person, I possess this information, I possess this knowledge. So how do you showcase them is by affixing your the certification. So go for some international certification, right? From the I'm sorry, straight from the vendor itself. Like, say, let's say for example, you're much interested on Python, just take Python certification. If you're much interested on Java, you take Java certification. If you're much interested on Microsoft .NET, you take .NET certification. If you want to move into data science, see that who provides a data science certification. I don't want the certification from local institutes. Okay, probably yes, of course that's required, that's essential, because that shows up your learning certificate, and of course your college graduation degree or whatever. That's all by default. Okay, by default, de facto of the process. But I specify here, you have to get internationally certified. Okay, direct from Oracle Corporation, direct from Microsoft Corporation. Okay, so direct from Python community, you need to get certified. That's what I mean accredit. So to be a skilled fresher, to become a skilled fresher, you need to possess enormous amount of knowledge, acquire as much as possible of knowledge about the technology, the language, the programming language, the development standards, the application development criteria. As you process whatever is essentially required to groom you and get groomed by yourself. You do a self-learning, or you get accustomed with someone else who can train you and groom you. Is do whatever you wanted, but acquire as much as knowledge that you wanted, and that should be a standard, industry standard knowledge. I again highlight here, it's an industry standard knowledge. Why I mean industry standard? You can't just go back some 10 years old curriculum and then you can't prepare. Okay, I'm not sure whether nowadays colleges are coming up with more of industry oriented curriculum, but if that is the case, yes, of course you need to follow that, but please don't go for an old story. Okay, don't go back to an old story. Even if the syllabus is old story, that's okay, that can give you some basic skills, but you have to prepare. You have to prepare for the modern technology, you have to prepare for the modern curriculum, you have to prepare what the industry is expecting for, right? So what I highlight here is please do practice, please do acquire, complete a POC, and then accredit, get certified. Okay, so this is something very important. The next, so by this means, yes, of course, you will be called as a skilled fresher. Okay, acquire, practice, uh, proof of concept, create a proof of concept or do a POC. POC, the terms are very important, right? Probably few might be heard about it, few might not be. So try to learn these technology terminologies. Okay, these are very important when you come into the IT organization. You should not feel yourself that you're pretty new to the IT. Before that itself, you should get the complete experience and get the complete information about what the IT industry is and what those people are doing inside the IT industry. Okay, then accredit. As I said, yes, of course, you need to get certified. Okay, what is the number one skill you should possess in order to get into an IT industry? Can someone let me know about it? Can you just give some responses? Probably you can unmute yourself. Uh, so what is the number one skills that an IT, if you wanted to join an IT industry? Anyone? I guess you will not have access to the chat box. If in case you're able to access chat box, you can respond it, but I guess it's not accessible because you're a guest. So I have my own Microsoft 365 Teams account. So for guest, it is not activated. If in case you want to answer, you can unmute yourself and then give your answer. What could be the number one skill that you want to possess in order to get into an IT industry? What knowledge is essentially required?
Programming language, sir.
Correct. Okay. Anyone else? Anything else? Number one, the first thing that stands, programming
Communication.
knowledge. Come again? Someone?
Communication.
Communication. Okay. Yeah, that's essential. Of course, I do agree with that. But yeah, we are. I mean, we assume that you are good in communication. Everything is done. Okay, your soft skills is done. Your analytical skills are done. Everything is okay. Now you're about to get into an IT industry. So there, what is essentially required? What knowledge is required?
Self-learning and upskilling.
Okay, so that's a part of uh, your your day-to-day life. So that might not be a number one skill. That here I'm talking about the skill. Okay, so I'll give you the answer. So if you see, it's all about the SDLC. This seems to be a little funny, right? Hey, come on, you're saying SDLC. SDLC is a pretty old-fashioned concept. So you're going back to somewhere 20, 30, 25 years back or 30 years back. So you mean to say SDLC stands the number one skill? Of course, yes. SDLC stands the number one skill. You should know what software development lifecycle is. It's not about software development lifecycle and what's theory involved in it. Memorizing the definitions and saying, okay, these are all the process and so on. No, that's not what we wanted. Okay, we want you people to be more proactive in understanding the practical implementation of the SDLC, right? So SDLC stands number one, according to my perspective. And as far as that I've researched, the number one skill that's required, doesn't matter whether you have Python knowledge, you have a data science knowledge, you have done a machine learning course, whatever it is, as a fresher, once you step into the IT industry, you will not be directly given into the platform of data science. You will not be directly given in a platform of machine learning. Probably out of 100%, 1 or 2% of the people, let's say, for example, 100 people, 100 freshers, out of 100 freshers, probably 1 or 2 people might get the opportunity to directly work on data science related courses. I'm sorry, data science related projects. or 1 or 2 people might directly work on the Python. 1 or 2% of the people might work somewhere in the machine learning, or relevant to the machine learning, or relevant to the data science, or relevant to the business portfolio. So, but not the entire crowd. Okay, not the entire crowd. So please do ensure SDLC is something very, very essential. Okay, you might have a lot of dreams. Yes, of course, keep that dreams and keep grooming for the dreams. That's something very essential. But this is something very fundamental. Fundamental should be in place. So please ensure that you have the SDLC detailing and acquire the knowledge. Of course, yes. If you state, the next thing that I would say is probably in order to clear the interview rounds in the organizations, in the IT organizations, and the first phase, the first hurdle, okay, the obstacle that we will be having is you need to be more of communication oriented. Yes, I would like to come back to the communication at the end of the webinar. Okay. Yes, of course, communication is also very important. If you don't have an average communication skills, you'll feel the heat during the interview. Okay, because I do hundreds of people per month. Okay, because I'm a part of an interview panel, right? I do hundreds of people interviews. I did a lot of personal research that how these people are responding and where they are lacking behind. Okay, a lot of things, a lot of analysis I've done. Okay, probably I'll just come up with another webinar relevant to the interview handling skills technically. So communication is also important. The next thing is, yes, of course, you need to have the algos and data structure knowledge as well. I'll come to that. I just wanted to give you the SDLC tour, okay, of what we do in the SDLC phase in the application. So I work for one of the top client, automobile client, okay. So it's one of the biggest client. I don't want to name them here. I should not. So because this is my personal webinar, but I work for one of the top automobile client. Okay, so we come up with this SDLC phase. You can see it on the slide. I hope slide is visible for you. It all starts from the you can see on the left side. Okay, request for proposal. Okay, so what we do in the SDLC phase, the first thing is RFP. Shortly, it is called as RFP. Please recall these terms. Okay, so once after you complete this webinar, you will feel that you have to do a lot of homework. You have to do a lot of learning. Plus, you're also gaining a lot of knowledge. Okay, this is what is going to happen inside when I step into the IT organization. Okay, so RFP, request for proposal. It's a proposal stage. Okay, so as I work for one of the IT organization, we will be having connect with hundreds of clients. So we go and propose. Okay, propose for a particular project. So the project will come in. There might be multiple vendor who might be involved on it. I'm sorry. Okay, so the client will choose the best one based on their financial constraint. Okay, based on their financial constraint, based on their requirement, based on their project need. Many things will be the factor for choosing a particular IT organization for doing a project for them. So request for proposal is RFP, who the sales people are involved in it. In IT organizations also we have sales people. Okay, don't think that sales people means it's like going and selling a soap. No, they're not going to they are not going to sell the product like what you purchase in every day. Okay, they are going to sell the organization's motto. Okay, so based on that only they can acquire the project. So request for proposal is very important. The proposal stage, they have to fight hard. They will give a lot of commitments. Okay, over commitments also, which ideally we might not have the resource in hand, but they will give over commitment, because grabbing a project is not that easy. Only when we grab more projects, the employees are getting their salaries, right? So if the organization doesn't grab more project, then obviously we don't get salaries. So the sales team, that in IT there will be hundreds and hundreds of sales people will be there, and they will have a manager grades, and many people will be involved on it, and they will go and bring the project in. Okay, so once the project is acquired, probably the X organization have acquired the project, then the next phase is requirement analysis, feasibility study. I'll talk about more in detail about this. So feasibility study is something very important. What we do in the feasibility study, I'll show you next in the next slide. Why we talk about feasibility is whether we can do this project or not. we have to do. But anyways, it's already been committed, right? So in the request proposal, it's already been committed. But during the requirement analysis, there is a chance that we can convince the client on what we have and how we are going to do the project. Okay, so we can do a lot of negotiations. There will be a lot of negotiations that will get triggered during the stages of request for proposal and requirements analysis as well. Okay, so negotiation between the organization and the client. Okay, the third one is all about the design, prototyping. Here the prototype. So sample screens have to be created. Okay, and presented to, as I said, right, POC also comes in here in the design phase. POC comes in, proof of concept. So I have to do a small module. Okay, and I have to present it in front of the client. I have to showcase it. If the client is convinced, then probably the client might give the project to us. Okay, so still we have the chances that the project might go out of our hand. There are chances. Okay, only when we start into the development, the live development, unless and until then we don't have any assurance that the project is going to come for us. Okay, so request for proposal, RFP, requirement analysis, what is required and what feasibilities are possible, or what kind of a resource we have, what technology stacks are required, whether we have the team skilled for the technology. All things have to be studied more carefully here. Then the design, the team, sample application have to be developed, and then it has to be showcased and it has to be explained to the client. The next is coding. The actual development comes into the picture, and then we go on with the testing, where the integrity of the software is happening. Testing is very, very important. Few people might say, no, hey, no, I don't want to become a tester. No, don't say that term. Everyone have to do everyone's job. Everyone should know everyone's job, right? So you have to be a tester for 2 years or 3 years, and then you come to a developer. You might be a developer. You have to take a role of tester. That's how the modularity of the IT organization today is all about. So it's more flexible. The person should be more flexible. So you should be knowledge on every area. Don't just focus on singularity of a course direction. Okay. Don't just think about, okay, data science, I'm doing a Python. Application, I'm just doing a Java. Okay, I'm onto the Microsoft platform, so that I just want to do a .NET. Don't just think in that perspective. Think the surrounding areas that's essentially required as a skill in order to survive in IT industry. The next one is the deployment phase, where the provisioning of the application happens, the live course of where the application runs, deployment, right? The product is ready. I have to take it to the production. We call it as a production environment. Production environment means the place where actually the applications are going to be running, and it's a live environment. Live environment. We have multiple environments. We have a developer environment, we have testing environment, we have QA environment, we have production environment. The multiple environments are involved, but the deployment, the final deployment happens in the production, where in the client, probably a client in the client located environment, we might be deploying the application. Okay, or it could be in the cloud or anywhere, wherever the client says, we have to push the code into it and make the applications running over there. That's the live environment deployment phase. And then we have a production support. Production support, application support standard. This is another important critical area, because after deploying the application and handing over the application, we need to keep providing a support for minimum of 1 year. They might be extending the period probably for 2 years or 3 years, or even for continuously. They might be expecting the support from the team. So there will be a separate production support team who will be constantly supporting in making sure that the application is running, application is up and running always 24/7. Okay, so request for proposal, requirement analysis, design, coding, testing, deploy, and production support. And finally, we are done. Finish. Okay, once the production support team is ready, and they are going to continue the process for 24/7. So 24/7, what I mean is, don't think that, okay, once I get a production support, will I be involved in 24/7? Not like that. Okay, it's not like that. Yeah, it's not like that. It's like mostly of rotational base. Okay, few people will be working on one rotation, other people will be working on another rotation of time. So it will be rotational basis. And finally, we are finishing the product or the project. So this is what is a complete life cycle. Okay, so that's what we mean in terms of SDLC. It all starts from the RFP, requirement, design, coding, testing, deploy, production support, and finish it. Let's dwell more in detail about it. Request for proposal, the project initiation phase, the sign off will happen. Okay, once the deal is done, everything is done. Okay, good to go. So sign off have completed, sign off done in the mutual understanding between the organization, the IT organization, and the client. Okay, sign off happened. Okay, we are putting a signature. Okay, it could be a digital signature, whatever the agreement. Okay, the agreement is initiated. That agreement might have different constraints. In between, they can pull back the project from us. Everything might be there. There will be some thousands and thousands of lines of agreements will be there. That's all more relevant to the law perspective. Resource land, I mean loading will also happen here. Okay, this project loads some 25 people, on board 25 people, or on board 30 people. Out of 30 people, 10 people will be the developer, 5 people will be the tester, 3 people will be the linguistic person, like probably the client might be somewhere in China, so we need a person, a linguistic person who should communicate, because the offshore team should communicate to the on-site or explain it to the client, so we need a bilingual linguist. Okay, it is called as bilinguist. Bilinguist means a person who knows the language of what we speak and the client speak. Okay, so they can be an intermediate, a bilinguist. So resource loading, so all these resources will be initiated, and there will be a project planning will happen. So okay, let me also keep in track with the time, so I should not drag more of a time. Okay, it's already 30 minutes done. I'll take another 5 more minutes to move forward. So project planning, right? The planning is very much important. It's not just like that a Chota project comes in, okay, hey, start developing, go and start coding. Sabri, please go and start coding. No, not like that. We have a standard. Okay, we have a standard. If you see a development standard like waterfall model, you might have studied, right? Waterfall model. We take the waterfall model standards. We have to plan for it. But today we are working on top of agile. Okay, we'll be following the Scrum framework, agile methodology. So it's more modernized. You should also knew that what agile is, what Scrum is before you come into the IT. Okay. So project planning will happen according to the standard. It's not just like that a kind of hurry-burry kind of startup will happen. Then the next, as I was talking about, the requirement analysis. So if you look at the requirement analysis, the most important thing is resource ramp up, resource ramp down. There might be a resource will be added or resource might be removed, because based on the analysis only, we'll come to that figure. Initially, we have loaded with 100, but suddenly they will say, hey, we don't need 100 for these many modules. So you try to ramp down the resource. It could be a human resource. It could be some other infrastructure resource or something else. Anything. The resource. A resource means everything. It's not just about the human resource I'm talking about. It involves everything, infrastructure or whatever we talk about, the cloud resource or whatever it is. Whether to ramp up or ramp down, we can decide that. Then there is a functional requirements that will happen. What is the actual functionality of the particular application? What is required for making that functionality up and running? So we do a functional requirement analysis over there, and then also do a test plan and strategy. Create a strategy for how we are going to do the testing for the individual piece of applications. What are the test plans are required? What test cases have to be written? So kind of what to say? Like for example, we'll just hold on in terms of some written format, or could be some Excel format. It's just a planning, right? It's not the real test. It's just about the planning and the strategy, what we are going to follow. Okay, what kind of a testing are we going to follow? Is that a manual testing or is that an automation testing? What kind of a testing are we going to follow that? So those kinds of analysis will be done out here. Okay. So the next important thing is design phase. So design phase is the place where I said we will be doing a POC, right? So we have a prototype, a screen prototype will be done, a small screen or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 screens for that particular project will be simulated. It could be developed using HTML, CSS, JavaScript combined, or it could be some frameworks like Angular, React.js, Vue.js, or kind of a different thing can be used during that prototype. Prototype is different, proof of concept is different. Proof of concept has end to end, not the whole application, but in that application a small module, but that module should have an end to end implementation. So prototype is all about a small screen, a static screen, I mean. Okay, it's not dynamic. So you will have some text box. If you enter something on the text box and if you submit, nothing happens. You won't get any response because that's static. Prototype, right? It's just a screen prototype that we do. Could be a screen prototype or any other prototype that client wants. That will be done in the prototype section, and then POC, proof of concept, and running model of the part of an application. Part of an application. It's not the whole application, part of an application, right? We'll create a POC for it, and some 2 or 3 member team will be involved in it in order to develop the proof of concept. The next important thing is HLD and LLD. What is HLD? High level design, low level design. High level design is on the I mean, it's like the tip of the iceberg. Okay. Whatever you see on the tip of the iceberg, that's what is high level. Whatever you see underneath the water of the water where the iceberg is submerged, right? When you go to the underneath of the iceberg, then what you see there is a low level. Correct. So high level is on the basics. Low level is going more in detail and giving the documentation. So we'll be preparing a documentation. We'll be giving how we are going to work around in developing this application. So high level design and low level design. High level design and low level design might comprise of the field level informations. What this text box is, what input should be given, what validation should happen. To that extent, we need to do it, and that is what we call it as a low level design. High level design is put a text box. I will have a text box for username. I will have a text box for password. That's all. Whether the username and password will get validated and how it will get validated, will it hit the database? What will be the database model? What is the table structure? What is the relationship of the table structure? Those documentations will be there residing inside the LLD, low level design. So this is a documentation. Okay, it's all about the documentation. It will be in some Excel format, a Word document. It will be some 50 pages or 100 pages long. Okay. Then what happens in the design phase is KT. KT means knowledge transfer. Knowledge transfer. Let's say, for example, in your college, you learn some concept and you transfer that knowledge to someone else, of your friends, your peer, right? So knowledge transferring should happen and training should be done, because we are going to move to the next phase, the coding phase. So we need to start the development. So before that, the team should be skilled up, right? So if the team is not skilled on specific technology, which is essentially required to start up the project, that training will be offered, and the client will provide the KT, because client have to explain us what the project is, who are the users, the end users, what they will test on the application with, how the application you wanted. All those groomings have to be done. Their domain knowledge have to be imparted. Like, it's a manufacturing organization, it's an hospitality organization, it can be an hospital, medical. So those people have to come and explain us, hey, listen, this is what our domain is, these are the things, these are the terminologies that we will be using, this is how we expect the end user to work on with. So those client level knowledge transfer will also happen, internal knowledge transfer will also happen, trainings will also happen, and the team will be formed. And the team is like, manager will be there, architect will be there, lead will be there, and this team will be there. Team is like, let's say 25 people. The 25 people will be led by a lead, team lead, and the team lead will have a connection with the architect. Okay, technical architect, and all these people will report to a manager. So manager, technical architect, tech lead, and tech team. This is how the flow goes. So you can see it's already been highlighted here, right? Manager, architect, lead, and technical team. The next is coding phase. So before I go to the coding phase, if you have any questions, please do come up with. Any questions? Please do let me know. Do anyone have any questions on this? So these many things are there. Okay, so it's not just about the SDLC means going and studying the entire theory. Yes, of course, that you have to do it. From that, you will get more intrinsic details about it. But in reality, in real time, the people used to say, hey, you need to have a real-time experience, real-time experience. This is what we do practically. When you start doing that practicality work, you will get to understand how essential the SDLC lifecycle is. So yeah. Any questions? Do anyone have any questions on this? Okay. Seems to be there's no much of question. Okay. Okay. So coming to the design phase, we have done, I guess. So coding phase, we start coding as a developer. If I'm a developer, I'll be practically involved in coding. Okay. I'll be having some standards where to start and how to end. I'll be given one particular story. Okay. We will be working on some agile methodology. We call it a story. Okay. There is a term called sprint. I'll talk about it shortly. So I'll start the coding work. Okay. I keep my hands dirty. I keep my hands dirty by keep on coding based on the requirement. I apply my logic and then I'll start coding it. And what else will be involved? We need to manage the source code. Source code is like the source that the code we write, and that will be piled up, right? And that is called as whole source of the particular module of the particular project. So source code control system should be there, so that because we'll be interacting with the team. So I'll be having some 10-membered developer team. Each people will be working on their laptops or their desktops, right? So my code and the other person, my peer system code, should get integrated. He is working on one module, I am working on one module, and there are two source code, but the project is same, right? We are not doing independent project, right? Each developer will not do independent project. They all contribute for the same project. So all the source codes have to be merged, and there should be no conflict. Okay, I should not redundantly write the method of what my peer have written. He had written a logic called add. I'm writing a logic called subtract. That's fine. We can merge it. But when I'm writing in logic for add and he or she is also writing in logic for add, then when I merge the source code, it will get conflict. So you know what GitHub is, right? Probably you might be landing up on the GitHub frequently to get some source codes. So Git, typically we call it as a Git. GitHub is just a platform. Git is the actual framework. So Git is one of the source code management control tool or source code management tool. Okay, so it helps us to all the developers to get connected to the GitHub or the Git, and then we commit the code and we ensure there is no conflict. So source code control will also happen in the coding phase. Check in, check out. The source codes have to be checked in and checked out. Okay, if there is a need for a particular source code to be checked in, you check in. Otherwise, you want to remove some features from the source code, you check out it. That is also will happen. That will happen through the source code control. Peer review will happen in the coding. I have done, Sabri have done a coding. Another person, let's say John is also doing a coding, and he had done his module and I have done a module. So what I will do is I'll go and do a review of his particular code, and he will come and do a review of mine. That is called as peer review. Okay, to strengthen the standard of the coding. Okay, so we do a peer review. Once the peer review is done, then there will be a code review. The code review will be done by the next level, like architect will be involved. So he or she will come and do the complete code level review. Okay, how the code is done, is that the code is following the standards, are we following the naming conventions, are we following the specific logic, are we following the right algorithm, are we doing the perfect unit testing? Everything will be reviewed during the code review. So code implementation, source code control, check in, check out, peer review, code review will all happen in the coding phase of the SDLC. In the SDLC, we have one of the important phase called coding phase. And in the coding, this is what is the reality that we do. We do many other things, but these are the essential things that I've pointed. Right now, what you're seeing is all the essential things. Okay, great. So the next thing is all about the testing phase. So testing phase is also another important thing. What happens in the usually the IT organization will call the testers as the enablers, but actually there will be a conflict between the developers and testers often. Okay, because I write a code. When I write a code, when someone is contrastingly responding, saying that, hey, you have a bug on your code, I get tensed. That's human nature, right? If someone is pinpointing your mistake, obviously we will not be in a position to accept that. That's a mutual conflict that will happen always, and that's usually required. Okay, so a conflict will always be there between a developer and a tester. How a tester will say, whenever the bug is raised or identified, the developer is not noticing, so the tester will keep complaining, and the developer will say wantedly the tester is keep on throwing some points on my code, specifically for my code. It's not that. It's all for the efficiency of the application. Okay, the testers should be there. Testers are the enablers for the developers. So they are the good resource who's actually pointing out your mistakes. We are humans. We do tend to do mistakes, right? We are not machines. Okay, we are not machines first of all. So we are humans and we should do mistakes. If you're not doing mistakes, then I would say that we are not human. And we should accept our mistakes during the code, and if during the testing time, if the tester is pointing out, we should welcome that. Hey, lucky that we found that error right away before even it goes to the production and makes a big havoc situation in front of the client, or the production should not get broken because the client is depending on thousands and thousands of their customers. If their customers are not accessible to the particular application because of my bug which I've done in my code, it's a big loss for us, right? So testing phase is very important. Test case. to be created. There is a section for test case. Small test case will be created. 10 line, this kind of a test case should be evaluated. Another 10 line. Okay, I might be recently I was working for a project where it has some 3 lakh code base. Okay, we were working for 3 lakh code base. 3 lakh code base is something very huge. Okay, we talk about Facebook, we talk about Instagram source codes, right? Actually speaking, when you come more in detail to the IT organization, you will get to know that we will be writing lakhs and lakhs of codes. Okay, there are many applications which are growing with number of lines of codes. Okay, so we have to test them on the module by module, or the lines by, or the few sets of lines by line, or unit by unit, or function by function. Different types of testings are involved there. Executions happen, bug fixes, and black box, white box testing will be involved. Functional testing will be involved. System testing, regression testing, migration testing. One example that I would say for migration is recently we migrated one project from the in-house deployment to cloud, AWS, Amazon Web Service. We shifted the application from the local premise server to AWS. It's not that easy. It's not just uh, plug and play. Okay, we cannot do that. It's like 3 lakh code base. We have to do a proper migration. It will take 6 months or 1 year even sometimes to do a complete migration to another environment or to another platform. Okay, so during that time, it's called as a migration testing will be involved. Change control process. If there's any change happens to the particular system or the application, then we need to be in control for that. What is the process for it? And configurations, testing configurations will be different. Development configuration will be different. Production configuration will be different. So like, for example, developer will do a testing with the local database. Tester will do a testing in the local testing database. But in production, it will be a different database. So I might be having something like cloud-based database, okay, AWS database, or Azure, Microsoft Azure cloud database. So we need to manage those configuration details in a configuration management system. So during the testing phase, that configuration management system will be involved in order to accomplish the complete testing process. So test case, test executions, bug fixes, and involvement of other types of testings is all going to happen in the testing phase. These many things happens. Okay, I can talk more in detail about each and every term, but I don't have much of a time, but I'm just throwing you a light on what actually happens in the testing phase. What actually happens in the testing phase is a conflict will happen between a developer and a tester. That's a norm. Okay, that's a norm, and that happens. That funny thing happens every day in and day out. Okay, the next important phase is deployment phase. I guess almost we are done. So deployment phase, what happens? We are making the project application. The product is ready. 3 lakh code base of product is ready, and the product is going to be deployed in the client environment. Okay, the production environment. That is called as a production environment. So it could be a data center, client's own data center, or it could be in the cloud. Okay, anywhere, wherever the client points, we have to do the deployment. So release the build. We have built a project so that we'll have multiple releases because we'll keep changing the code. So keep releasing the build, and then the user have to accept. You can look at the point number 2, user acceptance testing. User means I'm talking about the client. The client should accept that. The product what we have given, so they will do a testing out there. Okay, and then once it is done, then we will go for the health check, the heartbeat of the application, whether the heartbeat is happening for the application or not. We need to test that. We have a multiple health check patterns. If the application doesn't have a heartbeat, then the application is down, it's not up and running, right? So we need to tweak around in order to see what went wrong. Is it the application level problem, or is that an infrastructure problem, or what level of problem is that we need to identify there. The next important thing is the user system monitoring. Okay, user system monitoring means the application is already there in the user environment. We need to keep monitoring continuously. Okay, how the application is performing, what is the response that the application is providing, how long time it takes to give the response, which piece of code is taking much time, why the database is not returning within the specific milliseconds of time, why it is taking some 2 milliseconds additionally. Such kind of a system monitoring have to be constantly done during the deployment phase. Then you have a continuous deployment. Continuous deployment means it is a cyclic process. So it goes to the client, and the client will give some other features. We will again build it, we'll add it. Again comes back with some bug, we'll fix the bug, it'll go. So it's a continuous deployment. Okay, it's a cyclic deployment. We keep on doing this process again and again. And then finally, the team feedback and the appraisal will happen. Okay, in the deployment phase. So once everything is done, everything is okay, it's a continual process, it happens. But finally, the team feedback will be given by the client and probably some appraisals might happen. So that is what is all about the deployment. Deployment is more involved with infrastructure people and the client. Mostly the developer might not be involved during that phase, but the developer will run the show behind the scene. Okay, to support those front runners. The front runners are the infrastructure people who's actually involved in deploying the applications. The next important phase is the production phase. So once the deployment is all done in the production, what happens in the production phase? If you look at the production phase is like more of a support. Okay, so high availability. We should ensure that the application is up and running 24/7. You will not accept if Facebook goes down for 10 minutes. You will not accept if Twitter goes down for 30 minutes. You won't accept if Gmail goes down for 1 day, right? So your application should not go down. So it should be up and running. High availability. High availability means 99.99911 nines is what we usually say. 99.119 is what is the possibility of commitment that we should give for the client that the application will be up and running for it. 99.9999 percentage, the 11.9 percentage. Then the offshore team will be there, onshore team will be there. It is called as offsite, offshore and onsite. So onsite is like the 2 or 3 people will be there on the onsite to support, and they will communicate with the offshore people. They will keep communicating back saying that the client is experiencing this, the client wants this, a lot of blah 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 kind of exchange of communications will happen between the on-site and the offshore people. Offshore is like, for example, if I'm there in India and I'm working for a particular project, I'm offshore guy. If John is working in Singapore for the client, then he's an on-site person, right? He will communicate with me. Hey, Sabri, listen, client says that this particular button or this particular text box has this particular font. You have to change that. I will do that. If that is really hitting the application to go down or the application is stalled because of that. So the next final thing is 24/7 support. Failovers should be avoided. And so we have to provide 24/7 support during the period of tenure that the client is asking for. So for that, they will pay for us. So if the production support team is provided, like let's say 10 people is provided, the client will pay for that. Okay. So everything is commercial. In all the phase, commercial is involved. In all these phases, the client have to make the payment. Okay, in more local term, I would say that they will make the payment, right? And finally, we are done. Everything is okay. Now the development team will go for another project. And before that, we are done. We are finished, and awards will be given. Applause will happen. Sometimes we won't get awards. We won't get applause. We just keep moving to another project. So it's a day-to-day work, right? Sometimes, yes, of course, the client will come forward and give some remunerations, and then awards and applause will happen. The events will happen. Sometimes it won't. That's okay. We don't mind. We keep carrying on with another project so that we'll gain another experience. So that's how it is. If you have any questions on this, please do let me know. Now I'll just try to show you something else as an important thing related to this SDLC. Any question? So is it shortly, this is what is SDLC? Not exactly, but I've given the essential things of what we do in SDLC in the real time. This is what we do. If you, anyways, I'll try to share this PPT. Okay, I'll be sharing it so that you can make use of this whenever required. Any questions? Do anyone have any questions? So be very clear on what the SDLC phase is all about. That's so that you'll have more clarity on it. Okay, so coming to this, this is just go to the Wikipedia and just look at for agile software development. Okay, this is what the IT enterprises are using. The standards, most of the projects are running with agile mode. A few projects might be in waterfall, that's okay, but most of the projects are with agile. Okay, so you can just have some understanding of what this agile software development is all about. Okay, the philosophy matters here. So they are talking about adaptive versus predictive. Okay, agile versus waterfall, right? As I frequently talk about, what is the difference between agile and waterfall, which you should know? And are we going to code or document? Are we going to spend time on coding or are we going to spend much time on documentation? In agile fashion, we will spend more time on coding, not on documentation. But in waterfall model, we'll invest more time equally on code and as well as documentation. Okay. So agile software development methodology is what will be following, and the modern application development will also follow the same. It's one of the patterns being used in the SDLC development lifecycle. So this part I would like to highlight. So just go through this part in this Wikipedia, agile software development principles. Okay, what is the advantage of it? Okay, so we can deliver the project much earlier. If it's going to take 6 months in waterfall, we'll be delivering it in some 4.5 months. So 1.5 months we are saving it for the client, right? So that's the advantage. It's all going to run in a sprint mode, and the framework that's going to be used in the agile is Scrum framework. You will also get the detail about that Scrum. You can just look at here in the on the Wikipedia. So here you will see there's something called sprint. Okay, so it's a sprint based approach. We'll be using sprint means one sprint might have 2 weeks time. So one story we will pick and then we will assign it to the development team, and the development team will start working for that module or for a 2 weeks of time, and then we will submit it to the client. That's what Scrum is. Agile Scrum is all about. In waterfall model, it's all going to happen at the end, right? But here continuously we'll be interacting with the client. So sprint means, don't confuse with hackathon sprint. That's what they have mentioned here, not to be confused with hackathon or code sprints. It's a sprint, the term which is used for a duration of time box durations, an iteration phase, sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4. Again, some module might have some challenge. It will come back to a sprint backlog, and it will sit in the sprint backlog. Anyways, it will be more technical to understand, but just go through this. Okay, whenever you find time, just have some knowledge on what Scrum is, what Agile is, and we'll be using something called Jira. Okay, so this is my own Jira portal. It's not my official. So I have created my own Jira, and this is where we use to capture all the log of work that the developer does. So you can see, as a product owner. Product owner means the client. Client will represent one person, and that person is called as a product owner. He or she wants an API to be created for a searching employee. There's a module called search employee module, and the API need to be created by the developer. It is called as a story. Okay, you can just have a look at it. It is called as a story. Okay, we have created one story, and the story is all about this. Okay, and the story will have the acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is the client will accept these API to search for all employees and specific employee. So it's, you can retrieve all employee information, or you can retrieve an employee 001. I want only this information, this employee's information, or you can load all the company's employee information. So if that is there, then the acceptance criteria is met. What else the acceptance criteria has is also displayed. So how you want the response to be? The response to be displayed in some JSON format. Okay, JavaScript object notation. It is like employee ID, employee name, employee project, employee status. These details should be displayed in the API call. API is application programming interface. We call it as a API shortly. If the given employee doesn't exist, so let's say E006, that employee doesn't exist because he resigned from the organization. So this employee doesn't exist. If I provide that information, provide that input as an provide that employee ID as an input, then I should get a response saying that, hey, no such employee exists. So these many things are created as a story in Jira portal. This is a Jira portal. You can see it's a Jira software managed by Atlassian. Okay. Now you can ask me why you are explaining all these to us. We are just a college kid. What do I need to know all these? Probably yes, of course you can have that question, but you need to be competent, right? What you will be different from others? You're going for an interview. There are 100 people out there. How you will say that you are different? Only your knowledge speaks. Don't limit your knowledge. Don't limit your knowledge. I'm a college graded boy or a girl. I just wanted to study only the curriculum of what the college teaches. That's the boundary for me. I don't want to go beyond that. No, that is wrong. You can't be competent in the world, in the competitive world. Okay, so grow your knowledge. So these are the something which developer does in his or her day-to-day life. So after getting the story, the subtask will get created and the developer will start working on the subtask for that particular story, and they will log their daily work. So today what I have done. Today I've done these many work. So I'll go to that particular subtask, and you can see the stages for each and every subtask will be there. If I'm yet to be in progress, I will say in progress. If I completed that, I should mark that as done, and then I will do logging of work. Okay, so I have to log the work. What is that I have done today is something which we have to look at by entering the details. So we'll have the comment section. Okay, in the comments I need to say, hey, today I've done all these things and I've logged that, so that the client will open and see, okay, developers are working correctly, developers are utilizing this much of time, they are doing this, they are logging all their works. Everything will be monitored by this single portal. The client will also have access to this, right? So client will look at what Sabri is doing today. Is Sabri is doing the job perfectly or not? Is he or she is doing their job perfectly or not? How much time did they took for this particular module? 4 hours is given for it, but I have done it in 3 hours. Applause. 4 hours is given for it, but I have done it in 6 hours. But that could be due to some technical challenges. But because of my laziness, if I've done it, it will be monitored. Okay, but client will not come to that extent of monitoring. But still, this is a dashboard where what a developer does on the particular story and a subtask will be monitored completely. And this is a sprint based. For every sprint, one sprint is 2 weeks minimum. Okay, one sprint is 2 weeks. So if this employee search module need to be done in 2 weeks, it has to be done in 2 weeks. If it's not done, then we will move on to the next sprint. This is sprint 1, we'll move to sprint 2, but this task will sit as a backlog pending. It's still in pending in the sprint 1 backlog. We call it as a sprint 1 backlog. It will be kept. Now when the client comes and sees that sprint 1, he or she will ask, hey, why this task is still sitting in the backlog of the sprint 1? We should have a reasonable reason to explain that. You're getting it? So this is what the Jira is. So Jira portal, we call it as Jira, Scrum, Agile. Very important. Jira is a portal, is a dashboard to manage all the logging information of what the developer does and how the stories are created, what the subtasks are. Everything will be managed and maintained in the Jira portal. Scrum is a framework for agile methodology. Scrum is the frequently used framework where the major advantages are explained in both the portals. And this is how the Scrum process will happen, as you can see in the slide. So we have a product owner. Sorry, there's a product owner, product backlog, sprint planning meeting, sprint backlog. It's 1 to 4 weeks. Sometimes it will be 1 to 2. Sometimes it will be 1 to 4, or sometimes it will be 1 to 6. It depends on the weightage of the particular sprint. They will keep changing. Okay, a lot of calls, a lot of meetings will all be enabled in this Scrum process. Okay. Okay, so I guess I still have another 28 minutes more. So let me see how far that I can continue. I guess this might not be much of an interesting for you people because these are something abstract. I can understand that, but these are valuable. These are valuable. When you come into the IT organization, you will recall this today's webinar. Oh God, these things I've already seen somewhere in my earlier days. Someone was explaining about that. This you will experience once you get into the IT industry. Okay, so that is what is all about the Agile, Scrum, and Jira is all about. I guess now I can take you through what is required and what kind of skilling to be done. Okay, so that is something very important. So front end stack, what should I skill up? If you ask a question, I'm giving the answer for that. Okay, all these are basics. I'm done. I got some idea what the developer does. He does coding, he does logging his informations, everything is fine. Scrum is there, Agile is there. But what should I skill up? Because these things I cannot skill. I cannot become a Scrum master. You can't become a Scrum master. Okay, you're a college goers, right? You can't become a Scrum master, but you can skill up on tech stacks. We typically split them into multiple stacks. One is front end tech stack. So basically I talk about the front end, the 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 application which is accessed by the end user, right? So skill up on HTML5 for creating web templates. CSS3, the cascading style sheets, the version is 3. Web styling, you want to color, you want to enable the font for the application, right? So CSS3, this might be very basic, but this rules the IT industry. You can make a note of it. Okay, it rules the IT industry. So HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. Okay, in JavaScript you have client-side behavior, as you can notice. Okay, this is exclusively for enabling the client-side event. So doing some validations on the client side. Okay, when you don't enter the username and password in your Gmail login page, that is validated in the client side itself. It won't hit the server and then get you the response, right? So that's what your front-end stacks are about: HTML, CSS3, and JavaScript. Then you have another important areas you need to focus on: JSON, JavaScript object notation, XML. Uh, then you have TypeScript. JSON and XML is for data exchange format. So you one application to another application, they will exchange their information through JSON or XML. Probably I need another one more day to explain that. I'm not going more in detail, but have a look at it. You can able to gain more knowledge. TypeScript, OOPS enabled, object oriented programming system enabled JavaScript. So usually ECMAScript is what we have. So TypeScript is following this OOPS. JavaScripts are not of object oriented, right? So that's why we go for TypeScript or ECMAScript for that, to achieve classes, objects to be created in the JavaScript style. Chrome developer tool, very important. You know Chrome, you work on Chrome, but have you ever gone to the developer tool? Please do use the developer tool. Why? Because you should debug. You should debug your front end application. So Chrome, you have to inspect your code. So your Chrome developer tool will really help you a lot. Like for example, let's say here, I want to inspect some particular button here. Okay, why this button doesn't work? So I want to go and see how this button got written. So right click, you will have the option called inspect. When you click inspect, it will take you to the Chrome developer tool. This is called as Chrome developer tool. You can see the source code of the button. Now, wherever you highlight, that particular piece of code will be highlighted here. You can see the complete front end code is written. Might be some CSS class or HTML tag might be misplaced, and because of that, that problem occurs. You can observe this. Okay, you need to know how to debug and inspect this code. So Chrome developer tool understanding is very important. It's very easy to follow, and it is very powerful. You will become a strong debugger. Okay, debugger is an art. Debugging is an art. Acquiring the debugging is not that easy. You should instantly identify the error. Okay, what went wrong, what would be wrong. Okay, debugging the code is very important. And that when it comes to front end code, it will be thousands and thousands of lines of code. So debugging is not that easy. Okay, so please do ensure you have an efficient way to work around with the Chrome developer tool. That's very important. So what is needed in the front end? HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and JSON XML with TypeScript and Chrome developer tool knowledge. Okay, that's what essentially required. Apart from that, there might be many things. It's up to you how you want to work with, but these are essential things. Then the next thing called middleware tech stack. In the middleware, we have, as a fundamental, you have to go with C, C++. Usually the fundamentals is data structures and algorithms also you should have in place. This is for if you ask me, probably I don't want to work much on data structures and algorithms because I have a minimum number of experience. So I have more than 14 years of experience in the IT industry. Okay, I've been working in the IT industry for 14 years almost, IT related industries also. So C and C++ is essential for you people. Linux, learn Linux, Linux command line utility. Okay, you should know how to work around with Linux through commands. Now it's a Windows operating system. We meddle with a lot of UIs, colorful UIs, and everything is there. That's fine. But Linux is what is ruling in the middleware technology. Okay, we deploy our application on Linux platform. Okay, we have to work around on Linux. So you should know Linux command line tools, commands to be worked on command lines. You should know how to write a shell script and a lot of things. And probably you can pick up the language, either a Java or you can go for Python. Okay, if it's Java, you split them into basic core Java, the programming language, and then advanced Java, and then you can go on with Python. And then if needed, okay, if you want to go for The Python track, you choose Python. If it's a .NET, you choose .NET. Manual testing. Just have some basic understanding of what the testing is and what the manual tester is actually doing. The fundamentals is more than enough. Correct? So these are the middleware stack. These are not front end. These are middleware. Okay, the back end tech stack we call it as. Back end means don't think from the database point of view. It is a middleware which is between the front end and the database. Something which is between your front end and the database is what we call it as middleware. Okay. Then coming to the backend stack, what as a college goer, what should I be skilled up on? Of course, yes, you have to go for RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, the principal definitions you should know. And any one of the RDBMS platform. Oracle is one of the RDBMS platform. MySQL is there. DB2 is there. So you can pick either one of the platform and start skilling up on that. Oracle, very powerful. Okay, get skilled on Oracle database, right? Data model, you should know how to create a entity relationship diagram between two tables. Okay, so let's say for example you have employee and project, so you should know how to relate an employee and project. One employee can do two projects, so it's one to many relationship. One employee might do only one project, so it is one to one relationship. So what kind of a entity relationship diagram, I'm sorry, entity relationship have to be enforced, and what kind of a tool that we can use for that. Like for example, I've mentioned here as an Erwin, that's what we use in our industry. So this also very important. So just focus on backend with RDBMS, Oracle, and data modeling. Is that clear? So three things that I've explained here: front end, middleware, and backend. Related to this, if you have any questions, let me know. You have some questions on this? Sure, probably few people might have. In that case, please do let me know. Programming language choice is yours. You can go for your own choice of language. There is no specific uh, restrictions. If you want to take Python, just go for it. But it's good to have Java. Okay, Java plays major role when it comes to enterprise application. Okay, don't think from the fancy side. Okay, creating some applications, a fancy application, not like that. IT industries are having more of enterprise application. Powerful enterprise applications can be built only using Java technology. Python, yes, of course, it is also used to develop a enterprise graded application, but Python is groomed towards more of data science, machine learning. Okay, so its channel is different. Okay, Python's channel is different. So they are not. They do have front end. Okay, even front end they contribute. They do have support for middleware. I'm not saying it's not, but Java is the one who's actually ruling the world. We do have .NET who supports on the middleware, but you can pick your choice. Absolutely, it's your choice. Yeah, any question? So I guess I still got 18 more minutes. I stick to the time, even if I'm unable to complete, it's okay. I don't want to, I mean, extend your time. So do anyone have any question? No questions? I hope you're not on sleep mode. I guess so. Okay. Okay. Keeping in mind that you don't have much question, I'll just take you a tour of this. So what you're seeing here is this is a kind of an IDE that we use in the development. IDE is very, very important. That's what which I'm going to explain in the next slide. So IDEs are very important. Please make a note of it. Integrated development environment, it is called as. You should meddle with IDEs. Is anyone using any IDE? Can you just tell me what kind of an IDE that you're working with in your college? If you're out of college, probably you might be using different IDEs. But in college, probably in second year, third year, on fourth year, on first year, do you integrate with, I mean, interact with any IDEs? Can you recall some name? If so, please go ahead. Unmute
Visual
yourself.
Studio Basics.
Visual Studio, very good, excellent, excellent. Yeah, thanks for that. Anyone else? Do anyone have an interaction with IDE?
Sometimes PyCharm, sir.
PyCharm, very good, excellent, good. Good to hear that. That sounds great. So that's what That's what, if you are unable to answer for this question, then the next immediate task you have is go and explore that. Start working on that. What kind of an idea you are working. And one more thing is interactions. When there's a time comes, you have to interact yourself. Okay, you have to showcase. Just say whatever, even if it's going to be a mad thing, doesn't matter. Even if it's not going to be correct, that's okay. But try to engage yourself. Engaging is something very important. You have to engage yourself. You have to contribute. Contribution. Come forward, move forward. Raise your voice. Show your skills. Showcase it. In today's world, if we are not showcasing it, we cannot grow. If you just have an hidden talent, it will be always hidden. You have to bring it up. Okay, so try to meddle with people, communicate, create a lot of contacts, that can help you in the future. Okay, good contacts who can groom you, help you, support you. Not always, at least when time comes, right? So that is also something, a different skill probably, which you can look out for. Okay, so I was talking about the IDE. I'll come back to this. So this is an Spring Tool Suite, we call it as, and this is an Eclipse based IDE. Okay, Spring Tool Suite. Okay, it's an Eclipse based IDE. So here where we work around, this is how our IDE looks like, and this is where the project is created. We have multiple lines of code. I've just created some sample here. So you can see a project structure goes like this. It's a Java project. A lot of packages have been created, a lot of .java files, which you can notice here, right? So hundreds and hundreds of lines might be there in each and every Java classes. You can just have a glimpse of how the code would look like. Sometimes it looks like Greek and Latin, but still, this is what we do. This is what we do day in and day out. This is what developers' life is. We code, we program it, we code, we understand the infrastructure, we work on the infrastructure, we work on the servers, we deploy the applications, we debug the applications, we debug the code, we fix the bug, we interact with the tester. This is what day in, day out, we keep doing the work. It could be Java, it could be Python, it could be C#, it could be R language, it could be anything for that matter. Okay, so this is what we do. And this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do once you step into the IT organization. But keep in mind that you are already skilled on all these, at least to a certain level. That's something very important. Okay. Okay. So in my case, I would like to. Okay. So I don't think I'll have much of a time here. So I'll just run through these things. I do have a YouTube channel. I do have given this video there, the slide in a video format. You can just have a look at it. So front end, what are the things that is required? You should know these frameworks like Angular or Vue.js or React.js, Chrome Developer Tool, as I said, NPM tool, TypeScript, Grunt, Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is an IDE for, it's not a full-blown IDE. It's a partial IDE, I would say. Then this is for front end. Okay, this is advisable, which you can learn. Not all. Do I want to learn Angular and React.js? No, you can choose either one. Okay, but other things are supplementary things. You can just have a look at it. Middleware enterprise application, either Java 8 or Java 11. Standards of Java programming language, which you should know of. Python, yes, of course, Python 3 you can start with. Python 3 family. Servlets, JSPs, if in Java side. Spring Framework is a Java side. Application deployment standards, how the deployment happens, how the application is getting deployed in the server. What are the different servers available for Java side? What are the servers available for .NET? What are the servers available for Python? So you should have a look at it. Source code management tool like Git, as I was briefing shortly. Backend integration, relational database management system. We do have something called NoSQL. I guess most of you might be heard about it. Not only a SQL, it's a unstructured database. It's for unstructured database. MongoDB is one example for NoSQL. Relational database, it's Oracle and MySQL. Cassandra is also a part of NoSQL. Okay, so then coming to the cloud. Okay, cloud computing. What should I learn in cloud computing? AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Azure. These are the three major players. I'm AWS architect certified person. Okay, I work on AWS as well. I'm a multi-speciality person to say. I work on everything. So the thing is, AWS. Okay, AWS is a pioneer in cloud computing, and that is a top leading vendor when it comes to the cloud computing. So you can pick either one. can I bypass all? I bypass all these. I don't want, I'm not interested on these. Shall I go directly to AWS? Of course you can. If you want to become an infrastructure on the cloud management, please go and do a study on that. Get skilled on it. Do a certification. As I said, acquire the knowledge on AWS, practice it, do a POC, and then get certified from AWS, from Amazon Web Service, vendor itself. Okay, or you are interested on Google Cloud Platform, go for it. Or if you are interested on Microsoft, go for Azure. If you are also interested on data science and machine learning, sure, you need to learn cloud, because now cloud-based deployments of modelings will happen. Okay, machine learning models, supervised and unsupervised models is all now provisioned on terms of AWS, GCP, and Azure. They have a complete workflow process to deploy those models, right? So sure, you need cloud knowledge. So please do enhance your skills on that as well. Okay, so this is what is the overall stack. Looks more pretty good, right? If you have all these skills, who will stop you from not recruiting? Yeah, if you have all these skills, not at least all these skills, at least 50% of the skills, I'll be the first person to recruit you in my organization or for my organization or for my project. Skill matters. Skill matters. And I would say before the skill, the willpower matters. You should have the willpower to skill up yourself and gain confidence. Okay. Utilize the pandemic period. We're all locked at home, right? I'm utilizing it every day. Every day, since I'm work from home today, I'm not going to my organization premises, right? So I'm utilizing it the best of the best to skill up myself. Okay, so this is an end-to-end application flow diagram. I still have a little more time. I'll just. Okay, so this is, I would like to give a briefing on it, what the front end does and what the back end does. Okay, so in the front end, you have a HTTP request, which all takes place. You can just have a look at it. There are some set of people who's initiating the client request. The request will hit the HTTP server, the web server. HTTP request will come in, which is opting for some HTML responses. The request will go to the middleware. Middleware will accept the request and do the process of the request. If there is a need to store the information, it will connect to the database and store the information. Okay, and the process will get the response, raw data, and the raw data will be manipulated into some XML, CSV, or JSON format, and that format will be returned back as a response to the client. Okay, the client will view either a XML, CSV, JSON embedded into an HTML. Okay, because browsers can render only HTML, right? That's a universal fact. So we need to manipulate these data into a HTML standards and then return it back to the user. Okay, but backend, the database is very essential. If you want to collect the data, you will collect it. If you want to store it, you'd store it. We have DDL, we have DML, data manipulation language. We have DQL, data query language. DML is like insert, update, and delete. You do an insert on the database, update on the database, and delete on the database. You retrieve the data, that is data query language. You create a table, it is data definition language, right? We involve that RDBMS part here as well in the coding. So this is all done in the middleware. Middleware should be more powerful. Middleware should be the more powerful part in the whole application standards. Okay, so this is what is the three-layered structure is front end, middleware, and back end. Okay, please do understand this architecture. Keep this registered in your mind always. Front end means this is what happens. Middleware means middleware, what will be there? A Java will be there, or Python will be there, or .NET will be there. In front end, what will be there? HTML, CSS, Angular, React, Vue.js, and so on. In backend, what will be there? Oracle, MySQL, DB2, RDBMS, NoSQL database like MongoDB, Cassandra, Redis, caching data store. So many things will be there in the backend. But overall view, this is what is the overall structure would look like, so that you will understand this is what exactly happens. And this is what we do day in and day out. We create application for front end, we create application for middleware, and we create application for backend. Okay, so I just have 7. Okay, I guess. Okay, I'll just take you to this part since we're running out of time. Rather than slide, I just wanted to take you to this tour, as people were saying. So this is Eclipse. Okay, so you can just have a look at here. This is Eclipse. You can download it and use your IDE as an IDE. This is for Java based. when you're preparing for Java, okay, if you want to be more passionate on Java, please use only Eclipse. Please use only Eclipse. IT organizations will use only Eclipse or IntelliJ. IntelliJ is commercial. It's not freeware. But you do have community edition. You can go for it. IntelliJ, okay, or Eclipse. Don't go for NetBeans. I'm not sure if people are aware of it, but in college you might be entitled to use it. Please do it. Not a problem. But personally, start working with Eclipse. Working with Eclipse is not going to be the same as what you have worked with NetBeans. NetBeans is making your life a little simplified, but Eclipse is not that way. Okay, it is more powerful. Eclipse is the world for developer actually. Day in and day out, I'm going to work on Eclipse. So Eclipse IDE, latest Eclipse IDE, you can just download and start working on it if you're working on with Java. Okay. So that's what I will give it in the slide. The link and everything will be there in the slide. I'll just share it. Then IntelliJ, if in case you wanted to have IntelliJ, you can just have that as well. For Java work, but that's commercial. You do have community edition. You can see the difference of what is there and what is not there in the freeware versus commercial. Okay, you can just have a look at it. And if it's a Python, yes, of course, a person was also saying about it. PyCharm, you can use PyCharm, okay, for working around with Python. Or it's also a JetBrain. You do have commercial and community edition. And the front end, you can go for Visual Studio Code. It's freeware. You can just download if you want to do some HTML, CSS, and then you wanted to work with Angular or something like that. You want to learn them, then sure, you just go for Visual Studio Code, download them and use them. The next one is Jupyter, my favorite. Okay, my favorite for Python. I don't work on PyCharm, neither PyCharm nor anything else. I just work straight into the Jupyter. Okay, Jupyter is my close to heart IDE when I'm working with Python. So if you ask me, do you know Python? Do you know Java? Do you know Angular? Yes, of course. I should know them. I should know them. Otherwise, I can't exist in the IT industry. I can't. I have to keep grooming myself. Your study doesn't stop once you step out of your college when you come into the IT industry. Please make a note of it. Once you step out of your college, it doesn't mean that your learning curve stops there. Your learning journey actually starts after you step out of your college. That's the reality. That's the fact. That's the undigestible fact. You have to constantly keep learning. It's not learning means it's not just looking at some blogs and then learning. It's in deep learning. It's deep learning. We do have in machine learning deep learning, right? Machine learning, deep learning, and so on. Deep learning is required in the skilling of a technology. It's not just like that a fancy overview of learning. No, it won't work. You have to get more deep into the learning. Okay, so do have a constant learning. Learning is not like just going to the blogs. Practical learning, you will get that exposure, you will get the environment to learn, you will get all the tools. Once you come into the IT industry, you will get the tools. Okay, outsiders might say IT industries are pretty stressful job and a lot of things. Every job has a stress in it. Okay, don't believe in them. IT industry will give you a lot of exposure, experience. You can learn a lot. You can showcase your skills extremely well in IT industry. You have a better growth. Of course, politics will be there to stop you at times, but you have to swim out all those hurdles and then move forward. Okay, so you have a powerful space where you can showcase yourself. Okay, so my close to heart work with Jupyter. So I do have a Jupyter lab. You don't need to download the Jupyter manually. Okay, local to your system, in-house to your system. You can just go for the cloud-based ID itself, which is offered by Jupyter. Okay, you can make use of it. So here you can either install the Jupyter Lab or you can just go and try it on browser. Okay, I'll just show you some demo on that. Try Jupyter Lab. Just click on it, and then you can start coding Python straight away. Anywhere, even from my mobile, I used to type Python code because I work on the cloud-based Jupyter Lab. It's a freeware, right? So why do we need to worry about it in terms of commercial? If anything is free, utilize it, grab it instantly and start exploring them. If anything you come across free on the way, utilize it and skill up with that. Okay, code can be anything, right? Code can be written on anywhere. Could be a PyCharm, it could be even in Visual Studio Code you can write Python. Okay, doesn't matter. So I'm going for Python 3 notebook. You can either open a console or you can just open your PyLab. Okay, so here just go for print statement and say hi and just control enter and your output is there instantly, right? So just go and define. That's what I did before I came for this presentation. So I'm just doing the same. So this is something which we are calling it as a method out here, and indentation matters in Python. So I'll just zoom in. Probably it will be more visible. Hope it's visible. Okay, so return a plus b. Semicolon is not essential. Okay, it's not mandate. Unlike other programming languages like Java, Java is semicolon oriented programming language. So semicolon is it's like if you miss one semicolon in 3 lakh code base, it'll impact the entire application. So that's not the case in Python. Python is quite interesting and quite easier to learn and quite interesting to learn as well. Okay, so you can see I'm just calling an add method, define a method, and then return on value. Indentation matters, indentation matters. Indentations are automated in the IDE like Jupyter Lab, right? Instantaneously you can work. You don't need to do any installation. Just go for it, grab it, the URL, and then start working on Python code. Code. Keep coding, keep coding. Very much important. Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. Okay, keep coding. Early morning, wake up at 5 o'clock. Do some 2 hours of coding practice. Then go for your college work. Then in the evening, spend some half an hour or 1 hour. Do some coding on different language. Go for some Java learning. You will get engaged and you will feel the power of skilling up. Okay, so I'll share all these informations, and one thing that I would like to sum up here, I don't think I'll have much of a time. Yeah, it's almost, I'm crossing the line. Udemy is there, okay, where you can just go and grab some course. It's just some 400 bucks. You will get all courses out here. Quite interesting. Few courses are pretty essential, which you can just go and grab them. Investing some 500 bucks for 6 months is not going to be a big deal, okay, because we invest some 1,000 bucks going to a coffee day or going to a McD or anywhere else like that, right? So you can just compromise on that for one time, and then you can invest that particular money. This is exclusively for college goers, I'm just saying. So you just give the motivation to your parents asking for these. Just don't get me something from the McD today. Just help me out in getting some course from Udemy, or if someone is giving you a gift, ask them to present a Udemy course for you. Pretty simple like that. And that's what I do. Okay, for my close, near and dear, I do that. Okay, I present some course for them, and that's going to be the lifelong support for them. So just 400 bucks or 500 bucks, so you have a AWS certification course, data science, JavaScript, web development, Java, Python, whatnot, you name it, everything, you will get it, right? The next platform I would suggest is edX. You have edX, you can have a look at it. edX is more of international platform. Most of the courses are free, but if you want to opt for certification, then it's a cost. Timeline will be there. Different institutes are offering the courses like Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Harvard Universities. You'll get direct programs from these guys, and quite interesting. I've enrolled for more than 15 courses out here in the edX, and I do have a lot of Udemy courses because in my organization, Udemy is free for me. So Udemy Business is there, so I'm associated with that, so I get all the courses are in hand. But apart from that, personally, I'm accustomed with edX, so I took a lot of course from there. You have something called Coursera. You can just go for Coursera. That's another. These are called as MOOCs. Okay, you know what MOOC? Do anyone know what MOOCs are? Those are the platforms. Okay, MOOC. MOOC. Okay, massive open online course. Okay, massive open online course. Massive open online course. To be funny, okay, when I attended one of the interview, I was asked for this question. Can you expand me what MOOC is or MOOC is? At the time, I was not aware of the terminology. I was literally shocked. What is this MOOC is all about? Later on, I came to know that it's nothing but a massive open online courses. Okay, so Udemy, edX, Coursera is all plural site, right? All these are MOOC platform. Okay, it's called as a MOOC platform, massive open online courses. So just get used to it and then start doing some courses. A lot of free courses are also there. Can anyone tell me which is the best MOOC platform? Can anyone tell me which is the best MOOC platform after getting this information? Can anyone let me know?
Coursera.
Okay.
Codecademy.
Codecademy. Khan Academy. Very good. Good. I could see a lot of people answering. Anyone else? Okay. So in my knowledge, the best or the best MOOC platform is YouTube. Okay. Even though it is not to be called as an MOOC because it's not just for technology, right? But YouTube is the best or the best MOOC free of cost. Free of cost. Free of cost. Actually, the trainers or the mentors who's they are available in these top-notch MOOCs, you will not find them as equivalent to what the people who are doing the work in YouTube. Loads of channels are there. Loads of channels are there. Pakka courses are there, free of cost. Utilize them. Utilize them at your best. Okay. It's not, I'm just not saying it's because I have a YouTube course, I possess that so that I'm just marketing it. No, that's not my idea here. The idea here is grab the YouTube. Grab the YouTube. You have thousands and thousands of tutors out there who are coming up to explain things more in detail. Okay, use them. That's one of the best or the best MOOC platform that I would say. But if you want to get acquainted with some of the international standards of MOOCs, yes, of course you have. You can just gain some certifications as well from them. Okay, so that is also applicable. So this is how you need to do a self-skilling. Okay, that's what I wanted to highlight here. Why I'm explaining about this. Self-skilling is always required. So Sabri is almost 14 plus years of experience, but still I'm doing self-learning. Okay, self-learning is essential. Okay, so you have to keep doing learning thoroughly and constantly. You have to keep learning. That's something very important. Okay, so I guess I'm done with it. I was about to explain a couple more slides, but I don't have much of a time, so I don't want to consume more of your time. But I'm leaving it to you. If you have any questions, you can just come up with your questions. It's a question time. I'm ready to spend another 10-15 minutes of time if in case I want to take more of questions. So do anyone have any questions? Please do let me know. I'll try to come up with more such kind of a webinars shortly because I need to find time because the weekend is the only time I work around on my passion. This is my passion, so I indulge in this. So whenever I find time, I come up with it. So you can connect me on my Instagram. Okay, I've recently created an Instagram handle. I do have another one personally, but exclusively for this skilled environment. I just have created. So I'll just showcase that as well. You can connect up with me. You can also connect up with me on my WhatsApp number if in case you want to have some connect relevant to your skilling up process. So this is what some of the inputs that I wanted to give. So first year, what you want to learn, second year and third year. Anyone having any questions, please do raise it. You don't need to stop since I'm keep on speaking. You can raise your question. I'll just
Hi,
keep running
sir.
the slide.
So maybe your YouTube channel name.
Yeah, I'll just share my YouTube channel probably through the mail. Okay, I'll do it, but I don't have the details right now here on my slide. Okay, so this is something which I already explained. What you're supposed to do is passionately do a POC, pick up it from the IEEE project standards, and then do a project. Okay, it's your own project. Again, I'm saying please do your own project. Don't outsource it. Okay. So this is all about the self-learning massive open online course which I was talking about, YouTube or Udemy or Coursera or edX. And that's it. I'm done with it. So thank you so much for your time. Time is very precious for everyone. So hope you would have had a informative session out from this webinar. So my Insta handle is Skill with Sabri. Okay. I'm trying to come up with short videos and that will be posted out there on Insta and as well as on my YouTube channel. I've planned to start with Java and Python, probably 5 minutes of tutorials on specific topics of the technology like Java and Python, so that you can make use of that as well if in case you're interested with. So it's a questioner time, so you can just ask some questions if in case you have. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, sir.
Yes, please.
This is Yashwant. Like a few days back, I came across this bus sentence that after 40 years, IT industry will not let the people over the 40 years. Is that true?
IT people, come again. I'm sorry, I'm not getting it.
The people who are above 40, they will not take them in. That's what they're saying.
They will not take into the IT industry.
Yeah, they will not give the opportunities to 40s.
Not like that. Who said? See, 40 years, you're stepping into the IT at the time of 40. Obviously, no one will give it. But if you're in the IT and if you're growing after 40 years, also you still have a growth. Okay, that's not the reality. That's not the reality. Growth is always there when you have the right skill. Okay, if you have the right skill, who will stop here? If you are having your organization, let's say I'm 45 years, I have one of the top notch skill in the industry. Will you pick me or not? No, I'm just asking as an open question.
Yes.
Obviously you will pick, that's all. See, don't just trust some black rumors or blunt rumors. Okay, that's not the case. Okay, I see people 55 is what been brought down in IT industry for retirement, but I still have people working at 60 in my organization. They are extended resource because they really have an extraordinary skill which they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose the resource. So still they are working for us, but not officially, but unofficially they're working at the age of 60. And moreover, after 40-45 years, you can become a freelancer. Why do you want to work for an organization? Or after 50, you become a freelancer. You work till the age of 80, 85. Opportunities are enormous. So don't believe on someone who's saying, or some blog who's saying that 40 years people, they will not give more opportunity. Not like that. Not at all. When skill is there, age doesn't matter. When skill is there, age doesn't matter. Simple. Yeah. Anyone else? I guess someone have hand raised. So if you want to ask something, please go ahead. You have to unmute if in case you want to ask something. If you're speaking, I'm unable to hear. Anyone else? Ask any questions. Any question, doesn't matter. Anything.
Sir, does web scraping have is good? Like, does this have scope?
See, something which you should not look from the scope point of view. Okay, that is one thing which I wanted to highlight. Web scraping, yes, of course, it always has a scope. Always, it's like it's all a wanted space. Okay, so web scraping will always be there. We don't have any alternates, right? So it is all a continual process. So obviously, you will have a scope. But what I wanted to say here is, don't go for a specific scope-based skilling or learning. Okay, that is something which would not help us for a long run. Okay, try to learn as a passion. So if you want to go for web scraping, don't think from scope. Dwell into it, become a mastery. You have your own YouTube channel to explain the complete in and out of web scraping. Yeah, you earn thousands and thousands of bucks when you gain more people. Self-employment, right? Side hustles. Those are called as side hustles. Who stops you from doing it? But don't look at the scope. Lot of requirements are there. People are in need to gain more knowledge on web scraping. We don't have people to teach, probably. So if you can do that, and if you can teach well, if you can explain things well to the people, then do it. In the industries also, yes, of course, it is always there. But for the college goers, probably first year, second years, please ensure language is something very important. Get mastery on programming language, either Java or Python. Become mastery. Become a mastery. Mastery I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about I knew Java. No, not that. Become a mastery. Okay, that's important. Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Regarding the hello,
Yeah. Your voice is a little feeble.
sir, regarding the placements, if you have a gap of 4 years, will it be possible to learn the subject and enter into the IT industry?
Entering into an IT industry doesn't, yeah, of course, the gap will be there, but the gap is filled with some experience. That's okay. Okay. But of course, yes, the gap will be considered. But if you have a right skills, you just go with some small startup company, gain some 2 years of experience, and then move to an bigger organization. But at the initial stage itself, you can't just get into I mean, top five organizations of IT, top five IT organizations. You can't think of. You might get it. I'm not saying you won't get it, but you might. But I would suggest start up with some startup companies. Grow with some startup companies, take some opportunity from small companies, gain some 2 years of experience on the specific technology, and then you start your career from there. Because that gap is, of course, yes, but that should be filled with some experience. Anything other than IT, if you have some other experience, it's okay, but you have the skills, then sure you can get into the IT. Not, see, thousands and thousands of companies are there, IT relevant companies are there, small startup companies to huge companies, right? If you want to start from small, just start it, gain some 2 years, minimum 2 years experience. I'm saying, please do gain 2 years of experience and then look out for international organizations. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else?
Sir, can you explain about data science? How it's going to be in the future for how many years?
How many years? Okay. See, we cannot predict how many years, right? So it's always it's all a growing standards. So I cannot give more inputs about data science. Probably I'll come up with another webinar. But yes, of course, it's the hot trending in the market, data science. But for freshers, I don't think immediately you will be scoped up with data science. Okay. You can't just like that learning some big data science course and then, of course, you might, as I said, 2% of the people might get here. I'm making it a very straightforward statement. Get into the IT industry first and then groom yourself on some technology and then look out for upskilling on data science or machine learning or deep learning and then go for that. Okay, but from the first point itself, first standpoint itself, don't just look at the data science getting into it. It has a lot of scope. Data science has a lot of scope. Machine learning has a lot of scope. Deep learning has a lot of scope, but it needs a lot of skills to be acquired first. Mathematical knowledge, statistical knowledge, right? Data migrations, data toolings, cloud knowledge. A lot of things are required. It's not just about knowing one data science. What is that is all about? It has it has an intrinsic informations to be gained, and it also interconnected with different other domain subjects like mathematics or statisticals and stuff like that. So yes, it has a good scope. Please do train yourself. You can go for Python or R language or Julia. Now we have a recently Julia language, right? It's coming up pretty well in the market. I'm skilling up recently on Julia. It's a little hard to learn, but then I'm not going to give up since it's going to be the hot in the market in the near future. Yeah. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for your time. Your time is very valuable for me and as well as for you. So hope this would have been an eye opener for you. And I'll try to connect with you people again in another interesting webinar. You can please do connect up with me if in case you wanted to, as I've already shown my Instagram handle. So at Skill with Sabri, so which I recently launched. So please do join me there. If in case you want to have more connect, then you can also reach me out on my WhatsApp. Okay. So thank you so much. Have a great day and do stay safe and keep upskilling. Okay. Thank you. And we'll connect up in another webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.